All right, and we're live. Welcome back to Talking Average Fitness Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Burns. I'm joined, as always, by my friend in Dad Bod Fitness, Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
Sore. Um, did
Oh,
a did some gnarly workouts over the past 3 days or so. Had a rest day
mm.
on Sunday, but did a variation of on DT. I named it Assault on DT. So it's
Oh no.
every 5 minutes for 5 rounds.
Oh
You
no.
did 15 cal assault bike and then a round of DT, so 12, 9, 6 at
Yeah,
155. Um, and doing it every 5 minutes makes you go faster because you're like,
sure.
I have rest.
I want more
So
rest.
let's go quicker. Um, and that was horrible. Um, and then I added 400-meter runs to the beginning of each round of Fran. So it's 400-meter run, 21, 21, 400, 15, 15, 400, 9, 9. That was gross. And then took one of the games events. The triplet one where it was like the run toe to bar dumbbell snatch with a
The
heavy
deep
dumbbell.
triplet.
Yep.
Yep.
So like I'm not measuring 175 meters at my house, but I have a 200-meter course, so I was like, close enough.
Yeah.
So I did 5 rounds, 200-meter run, 12
Hmm.
toes to bar, and then I don't have a 100-pound dumbbell, but I have a 50-pound dumbbell, and so I
Right.
did 20 dumbbell snatches with the 50
Right.
instead of 8 at 100.
Gross.
Yeah,
So gross.
it was a great workout. Much more appropriate for someone of my fitness. I can't snatch a 100 anymore. I'm pretty sure. If I did, I might break something.
100 kg.
No, 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 100-pound dumbbell.
Oh, 100-pound dumbbell. Okay.
Well, I can't do a 100-kilogram barbell snatch anymore either, but yet.
Either,
Um,
both.
yeah, I doesn't matter what the number 100 is in front of. I can't snatch it.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, but no, some fun fitness, I'm a little bit sore. But hey, is
I
what it
do.
is.
I do. I
Yeah,
know exactly how that is.
yeah, you know how
Um,
it is.
so we're gonna do a debrief on the 2024 CrossFit Games. Um,
Buckle up, people. Buckle
any
up. Yeah,
any
box of
discussion of the
tissues, maybe.
2024 CrossFit Games is gonna get colored by discussion of the very unfortunate events that happened day one, event one, um, which
What like
is not.
what a way to start the games. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
I
I
mean it.
like
It put
can I
a
like I want to paint a picture of this because like I was not fully like I had been removed from the CrossFit space for a bit. I've just been
yeah,
working out at home. Like I'm
yep,
not at an affiliate.
yeah,
So I wasn't like super tuned into the games. And I remember
yeah,
going to stay with my friend Colin, who is a massive CrossFit Games fan.
mm,
And understandably so. It's been just something that he and his girlfriend Britt enjoy doing
yeah,
and watching and all of that. So I was staying at his house while I was finishing EMT school. So we had like in-person training stuff,
mhm,
and he lived much closer. Um, and we were just talking about the games, and I was like, dude, I don't even know who's going to the games. Like, I know it's at quarterfinals, there was the bomb dropped of like all the penalties for the
yeah,
box step ups, and that there were some people that might normally go to the games that
yeah,
aren't because they didn't even get to semifinals. And
yeah,
so he was like, yeah, the game this styles. I was like, dude, I don't even know like I don't even know who the 40 men and 40 women are that are going to the games
yeah,
this year, just because I'd been removed from it.
yeah,
Um, and so that day, like, the games kick off on Thursday, and
yep,
I'm at work at the store, and all of a sudden just get a text message from Britt, from
yeah,
Colin's girlfriend, Britt. And she goes, do you know what's happening? And I
mm,
was like, should I know what's happening? Like,
yeah,
I was like, I'm at work. I haven't seen anything about the games. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, well, she was like, I just figured I'd ask because normally, like, a lot of people who work for CrossFit. Didn't know if you like were like clued in on anything that may or may not be going on. I was like, well, what happened?
yeah,
And she was like, she didn't like give me a name initially because I don't think there was a name out there yet for it too, but she was like, someone's missing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, someone didn't finish the swim event.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, that's like, I hate to break, like, how long ago did this happen? She was like, I think they sent a search team an hour ago. I was like, well, then I hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
Um, it's not looking great.
Yeah.
And so that was, so then my day Thursday at work became infinitely less productive than it would
Mhm.
have been otherwise, maybe. Um, could just have that bombshell dropped on you.
Yeah.
Um, so then I'm just like spending the rest of the day. I'm just like, I'm on Instagram trying to find stuff. I'm doing Google searches of things. I have friends texting me, have you seen this? Do you know what's happening? This, that, the other.
Yeah.
Um, it was a whole thing, man. And I'm sure anyone in the CrossFit space experience had whatever their experience was, somewhat similar,
Yeah.
where you just have that moment of like, holy shit.
Yeah. I um I was actually getting real-time updates. So I
Yeah.
had
Sam was one of the people I was
I
texting.
yeah. I
Texting. We conversed a bit.
so I knew basically immediately. Um
Okay.
and I will not tell who I know from or anything like that. Um
Understandable.
I got a notification that said someone didn't come out of the water.
Yeah.
And the very next message immediately was Lazar's name. So
Yeah.
they knew. Um, and
Yeah, like the people running the event knew because
yeah,
they're like, which one of the 40 athletes is unaccounted for?
pretty
I feel
much.
like that's a pretty easy, like, ah, like
Yep.
Lazar's the only one not wrapped up in a towel on the shore.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and very quickly after that, and actually I can pull it up and kind of do the play by play. Um, so we were so I'm on the East Coast, right? So
Yep.
this is, um, I got a notification at 0940. So that's 8:40 Central Time, right?
So essentially, like,
Um,
because the event started at 8, didn't it?
yeah. So it's basically
Yeah.
immediately after this when things like
Yeah.
um they're saying they lost an athlete and immediately the name. Um
Yeah.
Seems serious. They're going in now. So this is immediately after they had basically noticed like people have been, there's a problem, we got to send a diver in. Um and then this is really bad. They found the athlete. I have no further details. Um, they're telling us not to post anything from the socials at this point. And so, like, organization wide, it was like total blackout. Um,
Yeah.
and a colleague of mine who's former military said it's de facto standard to basically do a blackout when there's an unfortunate event because they have to confirm there's like once that
There's a
happens,
whole bunch of processes that need to, you
oh,
know,
yeah, and, like, when the police get involved, like and a lot of people were like, hashtag say his name and all that stuff, like, they don't have a choice. Like, it's
you can't.
out
Yeah.
of their
You can't.
hands. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, like, feel however you want about it or, don't feel however you want, like, I'm not telling anybody how to feel about a situation like this. When things get escalated to the point where authorities are involved, like,
It's out of your hands.
CrossFit stopped
CrossFit.
making decisions. Like, it was
Yeah.
no longer a choice for them. So,
Yeah.
they have to they have to confirm who the person is, which means they have to have someone who has intimate knowledge of the person who has to come and unfortunately identify a body, and, like,
Yep.
then they've gotta notify next of kin or family, and then and only then, once they conclude that it's not material to the investigation to do so, will they let people release a name, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, there's a
Yeah.
whole process there, and
Yep.
Like I was getting updates across the entire thing, and it was wild. It was wild to see
Yeah.
it, you know?
It's, I mean, like everything that I've seen, heard, spoken about since then
Yeah,
has been wild. I mean, and for like, if I don't think there's anyone that wouldn't know, but Lazar Dukic died at the games this year. He drowned in the swim
yeah,
event.
yeah,
And um, man, like it was just there was some heavy. I think, and I was talking with Colin about this,
mm,
where I think what a lot of people struggle with, because I'm going through and reading things. I like to think I'm a relatively like calculated human and
mhm,
relatively like can somewhat keep it together and like
sure,
despite how I'm feeling, like think relatively rationally.
sure,
Um, I try not to have emotions take over things too much, but
yep,
um, whole mix of emotions. Like you're like I never knew Lazar. I've never met him. Um, so I don't have like a personal relationship with him. However,
sure,
anyone that's part of the CrossFit community, like it's the CrossFit space attracts a certain person,
yeah,
um, and everybody else tends to self-select out. So it's a pretty solid like bet that he was a really solid human being. And
yeah,
everything I've seen and heard is that he was very well liked by his peers and his friends. Um, it's like that's also a human being who, I mean, if we're going to boil things down, like our
yeah,
sport is who can exercise the fastest.
yeah,
And it's like to have something like that take someone's life is hard to wrap your head around.
yeah,
And I think like because you read through some comments and you see some posts and immediately everyone, this is CrossFit's fault. This is the
yeah,
programming's fault. This is Dave's
mhm,
fault. Dave
mhm,
should resign. This is
sure,
Don's fault. This is Hiller's fault. Some I'm just making stuff up, but it's like people
sure,
are just like want to same way as when you get injured. You have an injury, you're
mhm,
like it was that one back squat. No, it wasn't. It was you
sure,
squatting like a ding dong forever. But everyone wants to blame the one thing. So everyone's trying so hard to like, where can I direct the blame and then all of my feelings that I don't
yeah,
know how to deal with? Like, where can
yeah,
I direct that? Is it at CrossFit? Is it at XYZ athlete? Is it at the programming? Is it whatever it is? Like, where do I direct these feelings that I don't know what to do with and all this anger? And I was talking with Colin. I was like, I think something that people really struggle with, and this does not exclude myself, is
yeah,
the I can't do anything.
yeah,
It's the I have all multiple feelings of
yeah,
multiple varying levels throughout the day, week, whatever. I have nowhere to direct it,
mm,
and there's nothing immediately that I can do.
yeah,
Like I can't save him. I can't bring him back. I can't make CrossFit pay. I
sure,
can't fix the safety protocols. I can't like all you could do is you could donate to the GoFundMe that's been
mhm,
circling around that FitAid set up for him.
yeah,
And then GoRuck is selling Dukic jerseys
yeah,
that you can purchase, and they're like any jerseys purchased, like that money just goes towards the GoFundMe essentially, like goes to his family.
yeah,
Um, and so it's like that's all you can do. And I think that's something that is really hard, not just in this instance, but in life. But this is a great example of it. Of like, I have all these feelings and emotions, and I want to do something, but I can't,
yeah,
and that's hard
yeah,
because then you have to sit with it and how you feel about it, and you know, logic escapes a lot of us when something emotional happens like this,
yeah,
because you're like I said, you're reading down through comments, and they're like, "Well, this is CrossFit's fault." It's
mm,
like, well, maybe. I don't think CrossFit is free of blame
mhm,
fully.
mhm,
I think
sure,
there's like better preparation and safety standards. And then when you think back, you're like, I can't remember a game season where someone hasn't been injured seriously. You think of like people getting heat stroke at Murph at the games.
Yeah.
You think of people, what was it, the one regionals, or I don't know if it was semifinals at that point, wherever we were in the spectrum, where like they had the coil of rope on the floor and someone
Yeah.
like blew out a knee or an ankle or
Panchik.
something. Wasn't it one of the, yeah, Panchicks, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Scott Panchik.
and so, yeah, and so there went that.
Yeah.
And so it's, I mean, you, you you're trying to remember like, okay, when was the last time, the last competitive season,
Mm.
whether it be at regionals or semifinal? I mean, you had like 36 people tear their pec at regionals in the ring dips, and I think there's a lot that goes into play with that. But I'm like racking my brain going back through like
Mm.
the all of the competitive seasons. And when I say competitive season, like if someone hurts themselves, like dropping a barbell on their toe during the open, like that's not CrossFit's fault.
No.
But the live events that CrossFit puts on,
Yeah.
like that they are responsible for athlete safety because they're
Sure.
in person.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember when we've had a season where something didn't happen injury wise. And, and it's like you're having a hard time, like there's been a significant amount of people hurt,
Yeah.
like put into situations, and so I think there is an element of that. Um, so I think CrossFit could have been maybe better prepared for anything there. It just from a quick glance, I didn't look super heavily into it, so I could be wrong, but
Right.
it looks like this was the first games where there was significantly less safety measures in the water, because they've done open swim events every year except 2013, where they did it in
Right.
the pool.
Right.
Um, it's always been in an ocean or a lake. Ocean's worse for those that don't know. And but you look at it, it's like there's multiple boats, and they've got like
Yeah.
people, like lifeguards everywhere, and safety measures everywhere.
Mhm.
And it's a relatively like contained course. Not that like the lake wasn't, but I mean like it's like you had like out to the buoy and
Yeah.
back, and then
Yeah.
like the whole perimeter is boats of lifeguards and people that are kind of watching out. Whereas this year you had lifeguards on paddle boards, but that's not the same. Um,
No.
and so you can place some blame there, but I don't think you can fully blame that. Um, People shouting like, "Oh, it's the programming's fault." It's not the programming's fault. Um, the like,
Well,
do
I
you have a
think you're
thought? Go
y
ahead.
yeah, like, I think you hit the nail on the head when you say that people are they're gonna search to understand something, and they wanna
Yeah,
be able to, um I think part of that is if they can understand it, then they can button it up in their brain, and they don't have to examine how they feel about it.
yeah,
And so if they say, "Oh, well, CrossFit effed up the programming," they don't have to examine their own personal feelings about how the death of an athlete at something that they love may or may
yeah,
not affect or what it may mean about this thing that they feel something about.
yeah.
And I I don't know necessarily that it's the programming. I don't know that it's not. I think
Because
in
what I meant is like you can't like fully place blame on
no,
like,
on a
well
single
they
thing.
ran into, it's like, well they ran and then they swam, and that's stupid. And it's like, well, almost every single year at the games they have
Right.
the swim has come after a run,
Sure.
or after a something.
Right.
Like they've done like a so it's yeah, that what I was getting at was that you can't fully place the blame on
No.
one thing. There's not like one thing where it's like, yep, that's what did it.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, like Lazar's been at this a long time. Like he's been a high level
He's not a
competitive
rookie.
CrossFitter for a long time. He's not a rookie. It's not his first time in the water. Correct me if I'm really mistaken. Wasn't he a competitive swimmer or a competitive water something, water
I
polo or something like that?
I don't know about that. What I know is that the
Okay.
commentary from many people at many walks and disciplines was that he was not an inexperienced swimmer. He was very comfortable, if
Okay.
not very adept in the water. That's my understanding.
Okay. Okay. I, for some reason, I have in my head that he did something competitively in the water, whether it was like he was a triathlete in a previous life, and like you have the long swim, or he was a competitive swimmer, or a water polo, or something where swimming was a large part of what he did.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think
I don't know.
we can say, and people will. So like we
Yep.
could contribute to that or
Yeah.
not. And I don't know necessarily that it would be helpful or harmful to do so. People will speculate on
Oh
the cost.
yeah.
And of course there will be an internal investigation of some sort. I don't know the extent to which it will be thorough or effective. um, financially speaking, CrossFit is incentivized to fix this problem and to make people feel good about it, so that people will keep coming back to the games because it's a big cash cow for them.
Yeah.
When previously, you might have had a Greg Glassman come in and be like, "This was entirely avoidable. Fuck it, I'm done." Like I haven't felt good about the games for years. PFAA, you want to, or IF3, if you want to come in and turn it into the Olympics, here, I'm selling you the rights. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Host
Yeah.
it in
Or
Madrid. I don't,
like
I don't care.
yeah. Or I was thinking because I again a lot of conversations with Colin where he was like, the games like should the games be done? And I
Mm,
was like, done for like the weekend or done like forever? And he
right,
was like, don't really care right now.
right.
Which I get.
Yep.
Um, I think, I think that if the CrossFit Games didn't exist anymore, like just no more CrossFit Games, doesn't
Sure,
happen.
sure,
I still think the sport of CrossFit would be perfectly fine.
sure.
I think you've got enough. You've got the Dubai Championships, you've got Wadapalooza, Granite Games, the West Coast Classic,
So,
Crash
like,
Crucible. Like,
it wouldn't fall apart. There's enough things that
no.
something would step in.
Oh yeah. Or even not step in, like it just they just I mean you get the Rogue Invitational, like that how
Yep.
many big competitions that these athletes can make money from
Right,
that and make this like their thing.
right.
Um like there's so much that exists that the sport of CrossFit would be fine without the CrossFit Games. I think what the CrossFit Games does is it just kind of creates, at least for right now, like it creates like a focal point for the season where
Yep.
like there is a set season from CrossFit. We do the
Mhm.
open, quarterfinals, semifinals, games, but I don't know that it's necessarily necessary for the community or the sport, if that makes sense.
Well,
Not
so
that
what?
I think it should go away forever, but
Sure. Well, so what I think that those things exist because they were the first to exist, and everything else has
right.
built up around that. So when I say something else will step in or something else will take its place, what I mean is something else will become the mainstay attraction.
Yeah.
And
Rogue.
Rogue, probably they've got the funding.
Yeah.
um, I think that, I mean, shit, half the all of the gear is Rogue anyway. They just have to take over
Yeah.
the other parts. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I think that there's enough of an ecosystem that if CrossFit HQ as a brand decided not to do it, the only people who would suffer is CrossFit, the
Yeah.
brand. Um,
Yeah.
and if you believe the rumors, Greg Glassman's non-compete is up already.
Yep.
And so
Ended what last week?
something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of people who would
Oh
love
my gosh. Have
for
you
him
seen
to
all
come.
of the
Oh
have you
yeah.
seen all of the CrossFit affiliate collective fucking
That
Frank, all of those
fucking
posts? Oh
psycho.
my God. He's like he dropped off the face of the earth for a bit on Instagram where like I didn't see any of his stuff. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he came back, he's like, bam, we're back. And the affiliates are gonna buy CrossFit and we're gonna save it. And I just had to laugh. I was like,
Yeah.
anyways, people.
People.
Continue.
So
Yeah. I don't think Greg will come back to CrossFit.
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm going to try to keep this focused on the games. I
Yeah.
think that there will be some kind of investigation, but I think some of the best commentary I've heard comes from Pat Vellner, where he said
Pat is a human weapon. He's a
he is.
legend. This guy,
He
like, and he's been in it for so long, like because he made his games debut 2016.
something like
Um,
that.
so it's been a minute. It's been was math 8 years
Coming on
or
10
his
years, coming
winter.
on a decade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so almost a decade at the games,
Yeah.
and then however many years at regionals prior to.
Yeah.
So like
Who
you're
FYI
competing.
finished 5th this year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, we'll get into like the placings and stuff like that as we kind of like debrief like the games, but
Yeah.
we wanted to talk about the big elephant in the room kind of stuff first.
Yes.
Um, there's a lot of feelings going around,
Right.
a lot of opinions on the internet,
Right.
and like I'll just kind of put my take out there for or my response, I guess, to it is incredibly heartbreaking. Like
Sure.
it's a massive tragedy.
Sure.
Um, you have some, gosh, I don't know if I want to say that, like just like horrifying kind of like I guess realizations as you
Mhm.
like the more I think about it in my demented mind. Um, and like the toll that that has on people that are kind of like present
Yep.
in the moment,
Yep.
that like the athletes that are competing there,
Yeah.
um, are put in an impossible situation of, you're given the option. Do
Right.
you go on or do you not? And if you choose to not, but you want to come back later in the weekend, like
Yeah.
we'll let you step back on the floor.
Right.
Um, and in a short period of time, you go from holy crap, my friend, peer, co-competitor
Mhm.
just died this
2.
morning
Yeah.
to what do I do with the rest of my weekend that I've trained the entire year for?
Right.
And again, that adds another layer to the mix of emotions and
Sure.
everything going on. And so I think that like just everyone has to handle everything differently. Like
Sure.
people are going to get angry and be upset. People are going to be calm and like just kind of withdrawn, I guess, like just
Mhm.
not really showing much of anything.
Yeah.
Whereas like some people are going to completely lose it and break down in tears and all that during competition,
Yeah.
multiple days later. You've got like I saw people, there's like someone that like post a picture, like I forget which team it was like a team had done decent on an event and like someone
Mhm.
was taking their picture like at the finish and like they all smiled for the picture. And someone commented, "How dare you be smiling with this?" I'm like that
Fucking
like
A.
well so and I sat there and I was like, I get where you're coming from. Like obviously something horrible has happened. However, like in the moment, like they probably just and for some people, like, oh, how could athletes compete? It's like, well, maybe their way of trying to handle this or deal with it is to try and feel somewhat normal
Yeah.
again. Like doing an event, finishing event, and high-fiving your teammates at the end makes you feel normal for even
Yeah.
for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then someone grabs your picture, like one of your sponsors, hey guys, and you all look up and smile for the picture.
Yeah.
None of them are running their own Instagrams during the games. You know, like it's so someone posts a picture and then
Yeah.
everyone's upset because they smiled at the end of an event on Saturday.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, I don't know, like like if people just got to be careful if you're throwing lightning bolts from your supposed mountaintop at other people. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're gonna judge other people in a moment like this, then you better be damn unjudgeable yourself.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know. Like
well,
that's just my take. Is people are gonna handle it how they need to. Like,
sure.
don't put your shit on other people.
Well, and I think that's again, they've got a box in their head,
Yeah,
and they've to them, this situation has a shape, it has a look, it has a feeling, and to that person, this is a solemn occasion, this is a tragedy. This person likely, I'm guessing, total speculation here. This person's got some some issues or baggage around CrossFit and how CrossFit, the perceived responsibility that they believe CrossFit has in this situation, right? So they're pissed off. And so
Yeah.
the thing that challenges how they feel is going to, without the thing that challenges how they feel is going to upset them if they are not in a position to be able to let those people do that thing, right? And that's
Yeah.
because the way they've boxed it in is because they haven't taken the time to, this is my own opinion, because they haven't taken the time to examine how they feel and what they feel means, like what they feel means. I
But and
think
then
that
like also feel secure in that. Like I feel this way because this. Okay, great.
yeah,
Like if like, this is how I feel, and you're good with that, and you
yeah.
or I don't know if good with that's the way to phrase it. Hopefully that makes sense. Like
No,
you're
no, no. I think we get what you're
like
talking about.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Then like you're not put off by someone else feeling differently.
Right.
It's like if you're confused about how you feel, or like you've got multiple, like you're conflicted about all these different things, you don't know how to handle it, you're trying to like just, again, it's like, what can I point the finger to? Oh, you're happy, fuck you. Like
Yeah.
you, I don't know. Like it's, I feel like if you've sat with how you feel about it and you've gone through it, and
Yeah.
you're good in like, this is how I feel, this is how I need to deal with this, and move forward.
Yeah.
If you're good with that, you're not put off by other people dealing with it differently.
Yeah. I
You
think
know?
I think that I think you've nailed it on the head. And of course, now we're verging outside of CrossFit and into psychology or therapy. Um, you
Uh,
know, as a general statement, be confident in yourself and don't hinge your fucking identity and how you feel on external validators. I, you know, again, we could spend a lot of time on this. People will spend a lot of time on this. We're not by any
yep.
means the only people who are going to do
For
that.
Yeah, no, for the
Um,
next few months until, and the thing is like nothing, it doesn't matter what happens, it's never gonna
yeah,
feel like enough, because it just like it shook the entire CrossFit community. And I think for a few reasons. Of one,
yeah,
oh my gosh, someone lost their life,
sure.
and that's horrible.
Oh, sure.
And number two, I don't know, to me, I don't know how best to phrase this. Like the games felt like this thing, like it was up on the pedestal. Like
Yeah.
these people are superhuman, and we all look up to them. And however people want to feel about CrossFit HQ or not,
Mm,
like CrossFit is like it's the thing. It's HQ. They run these competitions. It almost felt like, not that they couldn't do anything wrong, but like you never saw this coming. You never thought in a million years that someone would die at the games.
sure.
It just seemed like, like injuries happen. That's part of sport. Like these athletes are pushing themselves to the limit. They're like redefining what humans can do and are capable of.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you never in a million years thought that this would happen. So when it happened, it just felt like the whole world came crashing down.
Right.
And which is why I feel like it's regardless of what happens, it's never going to feel like enough, because if you're a CrossFitter, if you're in the CrossFit space, your whole world was just shattered
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. Um, and so, like, it's never going to seem like enough. Even if they're like, hey, we're staffing 500,000 like athlete safety staff at all competitions from now on, people would be
Yeah.
like, don't care.
Too late.
Like, we paid the Dukic family however much money. Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like like I honestly don't know. People are like, oh, we have to call for change. I'm like, what change is going to be big enough to
Yeah.
to fix what happened?
Right.
And because of the gravity of it, I don't know necessarily that there will be, or
Sure.
I don't have an answer for like what would be big enough change, or big enough, you know, whatever to fix it,
Yeah.
and make things go back to how it was.
Well,
I don't know that you can, just because it's never going to feel like enough.
well, and it's never gonna feel like enough because people don't like change and they wanna undo the fact that something has changed.
Right. So
Like
everyone's ideal solution would be to have the TV remote from Click, where you could just hit the
yes,
rewind button. Like that
yes,
would be everyone's perfect solution.
yeah,
And I don't disagree, that like if you could just rewind to the start of event one,
yeah,
and someone just tug on the lifeguard and say, "Hey, keep an eye on that guy real
eyeballs,
quick."
right,
Yeah, like I'd like keep an eye just right there. Thanks. And you know everything moves forward as,
right,
and then, but yeah, I don't know, but
and
like that solution is not available, so it's
no, no, and very obviously, that's not how things work. Um,
no.
I think that, to give you kind of an idea, like, for me,
Yeah,
the games was over at that point, and that's not me saying they shouldn't have kept competing.
yeah,
I ceased, um I ceased observing and being connected or engaged in the games once that came out, like, once things were announced and it was confirmed.
I watched. I So I hadn't seen anything from the games. Like, obviously that was event one, and like
Yeah,
I was at work, so I hadn't seen anything. I didn't watch any of the games,
yeah,
and like I watched the final,
yeah,
um, for the men and women, because it was the last event, and it was just like, it's popped up as the last one. I was like, all right,
sure.
let's just let's just see who, quote unquote, won the games. You know, so that was it, and
Mhm,
it didn't feel like when you're watching the games finals
mhm,
previously,
mhm,
like you could see it, you could almost feel it, like just that
yeah,
through the athletes, through the crowd, like it's not the same,
yeah.
you know.
Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this real quick. So,
Yep.
this year, right,
Yep. Yep.
um, top of the leaderboard for women, Tia Claire Toomey,
Shocking
Gabriella
to see.
Magala, Emily Rolfe. I know. Is that 8 or 9 for her now?
That's seven.
No, she had 7.
Yeah. No, that's seven. Seven wins. She's been to the games 9 times. She took a year off because she was pregnant. She came second, 15, 16.
No.
I'm
N
telling you.
Okay. Okay, 2014. We're gonna go all the way back. So,
She
men,
wasn't at the games in 14.
hang on.
I'm
Men,
hanging on. I'm hanging on.
women.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So she wasn't there.
Nope.
15, second.
Second place. Yeah.
16,
Second place.
second. So
17.
17,
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
18,
18.
first.
19.
19,
19. 20.
20,
21.
21,
Oh, that is 8.
22,
Sorry, I'm doing my math wrong.
23. She wasn't there, so Lower Horvath.
Oh, that's right. No, that is 7.
It is 7, you're right, and 24, so this year. Um, I thought it was more than that. Maybe it's because I expected her to win in 2023 and then she opted out.
Right.
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 And then
Um,
on the men's side, James Sprague comes from out of flipping nowhere. I mean,
yeah.
not
From the
really, but a
top
little
rope.
bit, you know.
He's a fit
Um,
dude, but
yes, certainly.
never saw him winning the games.
Yeah. I mean, he's been around for a minute.
He's been around, yeah. He's
Yeah.
been in it.
2017 is his first Open, as far as I can tell. And then Dallin Pepper in second place, all of,
Yeah,
same
former
age as
former
James,
uh,
22 years old.
former teen champ, right?
Yep.
Didn't Dallin
Yep.
win the games as a teenager?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is my
I
four
could
ranked
be
by
wrong.
country,
I
ranked
don't know.
by affiliate. Maybe, maybe not. Individual age group semifinal games. First
I-
place, boys 14, 15 in 2017, 2018, and 2019. He was the
Okay, so he won
fittest
both divisions.
teenager 3 years running.
Yeah.
19th place in 2022. 5th place in 2023 and now 2nd place in 2024. So this
Some good
guy's
jumps.
yeah. So this is a guy with
Dallon's a weapon. He's
he
a fit dude. I mean, they're all
incredibly
fit
fit human
people out
being,
there.
obviously.
Um,
And then
the
good
professor.
old the professor, Mr. Brett Fikowski, fully 50% older than Dallin Pepper,
Yep.
coming in at 3rd place. This dude been at the
I thought
games.
Brent was gonna win because he was in first for a bit until like the last event or two. He was in first.
Yeah,
Um, and so I thought Brent was gonna win the games. I was like that. It finally happened for him. It's like holy
yeah.
shit, like Brent because he's like a Scott Panchik type where like
Mhm.
he's been in the top 5 since forever,
Well, so
but can't seem to win.
he's been to the games 9 times. He's been in the
Yeah,
top 5, 2/3 of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's I mean, if you want to talk like longevity stuff, right? Like Scott Panchik had been to the games, what was it like 12 times, and he was
something like
never
that.
outside the top 5.
Yeah,
Scott, but he was never on the podium either. Like
yeah,
Scott finished 4th or 5th at the games every year for
yeah.
something stupid like 11, 12, 13 years like that. I'm like, that's infuriating. But he happened to like Scott just happened to compete. He like started competing when Rich was just
Yep,
running the show. And then
yeah.
Rich retires and he's like, oh, we got a break. And then this little gremlin named Matt Fraser steps
Fucking
up.
Fraser.
Like, God damn it.
Well, and then we had the back-to-back years of Ben Smith in the middle there.
Ben didn't win back to back.
Oh, did he just won? He just won.
He won 16 because
That's right.
no, he won sorry, 15 and then
He
Matt
won
won 16.
15. That's right.
Yeah,
And
because Matt couldn't do a parallel handstand push up. Or sorry, he was
right,
failing parallel handstand.
and Fraser got 2nd place in 2014.
Yeah, to Rich.
Right. So
Yeah, so he
2nd place to
lost to
Rich, 2nd
Rich
place to Ben, and then
and
yeah,
then off he goes.
yeah.
And then he got angry and he's like
Then he chose violence.
then he chose violence and then he just started winning the games without even
I
having to show up to
know.
the last event.
What
They
a
were like,
dick.
yeah, so even if Matt does what the one games was it I think it was 2018 where it was
Mhm.
like he could have skipped the last day of competition and still won the games.
It's not just 2018. I think it was 2018 and 2019. He was so far
No, because
ahead.
19 Noah almost won.
Okay, well, now we're going back in
Not,
time.
20,
Hang on.
2019, Noah came in second. Noah was in first for the longest time, and then Noah let Matt catch him.
Right. 2018. Oh, it's
I remember,
2017. It was 2017 and 2018.
yeah, that he just like he
So,
ran away with it.
yeah, so final points, Brent Fikowski 916, Matt Fraser 1132 in 2017. In
Yeah, so
2018,
you could skip 2 events
right.
and
And
still win the
then
games.
2019 was very, very close, only separated by 40 points, Noah Olson and Matt
Yep.
Fraser.
Yeah. So like
2020
Matt
was a
leapfrogged.
fucking like
Well, that was because the points were different. Like because they only had
shh,
5 people in person at the
no,
games.
I
Like the point
understand.
breaks.
But what's wild about that is so those perennial people, right? So like, Jeffrey Adler, Noah Olson, Justin Medeiros, Sam Quant, right?
Yep.
It's one thing to have like, most people, the 2nd place person is in the 900s with Matt Fraser, and then Matt's in
Yeah.
like the 1100s, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
big jump, but
Yep.
within the realm of reasonability. That year, no one got higher than 605, and Matt still had fucking 1100 points.
Yeah, it's because of the point system. So like, because here's what was happening, right? You only have 5 people at the
No,
ranch because that was the
no,
COVID year.
no.
So you only have 5 people. So the point breaks were like
Did they have
25
a
points.
bigger point break?
Yeah, so it was 100, 75, 50,
Oh,
25, 0. So if you took 5th place on a
oh,
workout, you got 0 points.
oh, fuck that.
Yeah. So the
Tahoe.
thing is like so 2nd through 5th place, like those 4
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
were all trading 2nd through last, and Matt was just winning every event
yeah. And then what's
because
funny
because
is, go ahead.
because like at those games,
Yeah,
like what Matt and Rich did so good is they knew what everyone was doing around them and how to pace themselves accordingly. They were just better than
yeah.
other people. So they were like, I can go 90% here while you're going 100 and
I
stay
understand
within
my
range.
pacing better.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
as soon as you blow up, I'm just gonna like off I go.
yeah,
And they would win. But when there was multiple heats at the games, and you have people like you have a home run hitter like Tommy Hackenbrook or Josh Bridges or like or Dan Bailey, like these guys at the games that they're maybe not always in the last heat,
Yeah.
but they put up a baller time on an event.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, I've got a time from heat 2 that I have to beat, but I can't watch him do it.
Yeah.
So you would have like on certain events, you would have Josh Bridges with like Josh Bridges beat Matt Fraser in heavy 17.5 because Matt couldn't pace off him.
Right.
He wasn't there because Josh was in like the second heat.
Yeah.
So it's like you have someone that would
Interesting.
like just like drop some. So then Matt's taking second, thirds, fifths, like in these events because there are people from previous heats that might put up a better time.
Right. Right. Right.
Matt's always going to win his heat because he's like, here's the guys. Like I know I have to beat them,
Right.
so I'm just going to beat them.
But relative
When
to
you're
all the
when you're at
possible times. Right.
right relative to
Right.
all the possible times, he would finish. Like I don't think Matt's taken many placings outside of fifth, but
Yeah.
it's like that was the thing. Well, now you only have 5 people at the games. I know
Right.
who I need to beat. These 4 fuckers.
Right.
And so I'm just gonna look at, am I
He's
ahead
gonna
of
go
you? Am I
first
ahead
place
of you?
every event.
Cool. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like so he took first every event where everybody else was trading,
So that's not
like
exactly
getting
right. He in the swim event, he
the
took
pool. Yeah.
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 And let me sort it by overall again. So we'll come all the way back here. He took fourth in the 1 rep max front squat. He
Okay.
took eighth in the 1K row. He took second in the handstand hold.
So
He
you're
did
looking at the online events.
I'm looking at everything because they were all part of the
Right.
games. And then
Well, right.
at the ranch, there
Yes.
was the CrossFit total. He took second.
Yep. I think
There
won that one.
Quant beat him. There was the
Yep.
swim where he took second. Quant beat him, and that
Yep.
was it.
Yep.
Everything else, he was at the top.
Yep.
Yeah, and then fucking
Anyways,
Atalanta.
we got on a tangent on like previous games things. We were talking about games placings for this year and how Brent was,
Yeah,
anyways. Um, yeah, I think that this year at the games in terms of placings,
yeah,
I think there's a very bold font asterisk um, for this games just because like just because of what happened and what everyone's going through. Like people, they aren't. You're not in the same headspace. Like the people that are going out to continue to compete are either doing it very like
they're
depressed,
compromised.
yeah, like compromised, like
Right,
from like I'm feeling very sad,
right,
but I'm just out here to because it's how I feel I can best honor and remember Lazar,
right,
or you're out there because you're like I'm just trying to keep it together, man.
right.
I need to be out here and do something, but
Mhm.
you're almost like dissociated at that point. Like you
Yeah,
watch Vellner compete, and Vellner was just like, "I'm just here, dude." Like you could see it in his body language as he moved through different things. Like it's just
yeah,
like Pat's here, but he's not here.
right.
Like he's
Dave's not here, man.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. And
Well,
it's like so I think that like not to take away from James or Tia. I think if the games had run as normal, I still think Tia would have won. I don't think anyone's stopping Tia from winning.
sure.
Um, but and I don't want to take anything away from James because like winning the games regardless is not easy. But I do think there's an asterisk next to this year's games just because
Right.
everybody, even the people that won, everybody was compromised. You know, so
Yeah.
just my
Well,
thoughts
and
on it.
well, and for comparison, Laura Horvath, who won last year, opted out.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Um,
and again, like it's understandably so. Like everyone's gonna process this how they need to. There was a handful. I think there was like 5 or 6 on both the men's and women's sides
yeah,
that
yeah,
that opted out the after Friday morning.
yeah. And I don't pass judgment. It's asterisk or no
Nope.
asterisk. I mean, fuck, I'm sitting here on a couch reading all this shit. So, I think there's
Yeah.
a lot to be unpacked, and there will continue to be a lot to be unpacked.
Yeah.
The
And we
upside
can
is
talk about
anybody.
as we learn more, we can talk
Yeah,
about this stuff more into as new information.
and
I'd be
I'm
interested to know if there was, I don't know if anyone will release this ever, but I'd be interested to know if there was like a medical problem that caused, because as we said, he's a competent swimmer. He's a high level competitive athlete. It's not his first rodeo.
sure.
Like I'd be like interested to know, like, did something
So one of the
happen?
comments that was made by a colleague of mine who spends a lot of time in the water.
Yep.
His observation was, and this is not diagnosing, but his observation was these are all very high muscle mass, low body fat percentage athletes. So their
Yes.
relative natural buoyancy is very low.
Sure.
Couple that with entering into the water after what might be an all effort run, they could be slightly more hypoxic than normal, right?
Yes.
And then there's the heat factor. Texas right now is hot as fuck, right? Even
Yep.
if you're jumping into the water, it might be enough of a shock. And FYI, the only 2 deaths that have ever occurred in the Olympics occurred because of heat-related, incidences.
Yep.
So, I think I would not be surprised to find out that there was a compromising something that compromised him from a medical or biological, physiological standpoint. I'm sure we'll learn more about that. But between now and then, you know, RIP Lazar, and if you feel so inclined, anybody is welcome to go donate to the GoFundMe for his family. And
Buy a
um,
jersey, like it,
yeah, don't be a dick online.
wear it.
Also,
Remember,
that too.
don't be a dick online.
Don't be a
Like
dick
it's
online.
like, because again, like whatever you're going through, like I don't know,
Everyone's
like
got
just
their own shit.
like everyone's got their own shit. Like it,
Yeah,
and everyone's going through it how they need to. And like I don't know, what does it solve? What does it
doesn't
solve if someone, like, hey, they're doing this over here? Like, what does it solve for you to go on there and be like, fuck you, you're a terrible person, how dare you do this? Like, what did that do? Did it make you feel better about yourself?
maybe, but
Maybe,
also
briefly.
hashtag not a therapist.
Nope. Not
All right.
licensed anyways.
Yeah,
Uh,
for real. All right,
yeah.
my friend. Go forth, be awesome. Have a great rest of your day. And for anyone who was partying along, listening, or watches this later, we hope you join us the next time we do this.
Yeah. Then
Be
if
well, everybody.
who knows when that'll be.
We're gonna do what we can. Kids,
We're
man.
gonna listen.
Kids.
Yeah, kids life. Yeah. Oh, I get to start my new job in September. I've got
Hey,
a pass my national exam for EMT. I got a
of
job with
course you did.
Gulfport Ambulance Service,
Of
so
course you
I'm
did.
doing all that fun stuff. So that starts in September.
It's gonna be great. I'm very excited for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna
All
be
right,
good.
homie. We'll talk to you next
Oh,
time.
wait,
Oh,
what was your score for the Devil's Press bike workout?
I haven't done it.
We were gonna. Oh,
I haven't done it, which is
damn.
why I don't want to know your score, and
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
gonna do it. I've also got a seminar coming up this weekend, so like my training is shifted, and yeah, it's
Just
on
so
the
like,
docket.
do you guys do like a lunchtime workout, like a level one? I would say rope
Some
your entire
some people
staff into doing
do.
that.
So oh gosh, see, Taylor would do that. Taylor's gonna be my lead, and
It's only 7 minutes, man.
yeah, but it's a shitty 7 minutes.
It's the
Also,
longest. It's like microwave minutes.
oh my god, minutes.
Yeah, because you do 5 devil's press and you're like, cool, that took 15 seconds. Off to the bike
and
I
it's
go.
and it's and it's 10 or 7 cal assault bike sprint.
Yeah, yeah, 10 or
The
7. Yeah.
upside is I was dreading doing it on an echo bike,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
because like on an assault bike, I can like a little bit heavier flywheel, like a little bit heavier chain. I can get I can get that baby cranking. Um,
yeah.
so if they have assault bikes, and I know Taylor would be up for some dumb shit, so I'll
Like,
post
listen,
it
and
too.
they're even light dumbbells. Like, it's a pair of 35s for the men, 25s for the women.
I was wondering if
20s.
I should
What
scale
did I
or
write
not.
that at?
You 35-25, I thought 35-20.
I can't remember what I
I think
wrote
it's
that. It's
35-25.
I sent it to you, so it's like it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so it's like they're light dumbbells too. Because like that's a different workout with a pair of 50s, 35s.
Oh God,
That's
yeah,
different.
yeah,
So like 35s, 20s, like as soon as you get off the bike, like I have no reason to not to. It's not that
yeah,
heavy.
yeah.
You just go do it, and like it's just 5 devil's press, 10 cows, back and forth for 7 minutes.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
You let me know.
I will. All right, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Peace.